right into the Viognier. So this is our estate Viognier. So this is grown on right on. We're not 100% estate. Not everything we do. Bill's got a lot of great handshake agreements with all these old Italian farmers out there. He saw early on it was better to get this great old vine material from these great old families that have been farming it for years. It was a great resource rather than try to just buy up everything he possibly could. That's kind of the Napa mentality. Buy your land, build a castle, and sell your wine. Well, his was to tap into the best fruit and best vineyard land he possibly could, however he could. So the first one you had, we actually don't own Monarch Mind Vineyard. It's a really good friend of Bill's, and we buy that fruit, but Bill farms it. He physically farms it out there for it because he wants it done the way he wants. So that's how committed he is. But this we own. So this is from Fiddletown. It's from the Rice McDonald Vineyard right across the street from Bill's house. He's looking down this vineyard when he's having coffee in the morning on his back porch. So his feet are in this vineyard almost more than anywhere else. I'm not going to use the term that he used, but he farms the blank out of this spot. He's there a lot. That's where Ginger, his dog's running up and down the vines all the time. A great little spot in Fiddletown. Fiddletown is one of the coldest areas in Amador, so it makes this very crisp style. Now, if you've never had Viognier before, it's a different beast. A lot of people kind of compare it to Chardonnay. Now, it may have the same texture. It's a little heavier like Chardonnay, but none of the same flavors. It's actually a pretty rare little grape, even in France. It grows in the northern Rhone in a place called Condrieu. That's where it's most famous. Condrieux, if you ever try to buy them, they're about $100 a bottle now because that's how rare they are. So we can give you kind of an equivalency wine, same kind of farming, same thoughtful winemaking, and world-class area to do it in, but you get it at like a fifth of the price in this bottle. We love giving equivalency, and this Viognier is definitely that. So you get this world-class style of very textural, chewy wine that has all this stone fruit to it. Now, if you taste a Viognier in California and it starts tasting like top tropical fruits, I want you to put that glass down and walk away. That's not what Viognier tastes like. It tastes like peaches. It tastes like stone fruits. You should get peach out of it almost every single time. And the trick with Viognier is really low acid grape. You need to grow it in places that'll hold on to at least some acidity. And that's why we would grow it at high elevations. This is grown at 2,400 feet of elevation. It holds on to that fresh acidity that kind of holds everything together. And you get this really fresh, also seafood wine, but it'll cross the aisle there a little bit and go to things like pork. It'll work with, but this with scallops or crab is amazing. Viognier with seafood, like heavier seafood dishes. Lobster works really well. It's just magic. It's an exotic grape. It's got this wonderful aromatics. It's one of the highest aromatic white grapes you'll ever come across. So put your nose in it, please. When you do it. It's got this white flower kind of note to it. It's really, really pretty. Well-made ones just have that whiff of perfume. Ones that are made in warmer areas typically smell like somebody kicked over a bottle of perfume in the room. So it's not. This one's not that strong. This is just making you want to go back for another sip. It's perfumed enough, not too much, but wonderful. Now, one last thing I want to point out, and this is going toward the other wines too. You may have noticed that most of our wines have a lot of bottle age on it, even the whites. And that's on purpose because we practice a thing called élevage. Élevage basically is just a fancy French word that means bottle age, or everything that happens after fermentation. So it means raising in French, like you're raising the wine from a child. So this élevage is really important, and it's a step that's left out of most wine making today, especially in California, because it's really expensive to hold on to wines and age them. So most people have got the idea that the wine's going to age on the truck getting to you. That's not the way Bill Easton's ever thought. He's going to always have a more European-style winery that age the wine, so you're getting another bonus for him. When you get a wine, it's in perfect condition. It's ready to pop that night and drink. So ours is going to have a little bit more bottle age on it on purpose, even the whites, because they expand and they get better with a little bottle age. So the current vintage for this Viognier is 2016. The current vintage for our Sauvignon Blanc, 2017. And that little bit of extra bottle age makes it kind of come out of its cocoon, kind of like a caterpillar. It starts to bloom. It's kind of in a closed phase for the first few years, not showing everything that it can, and then it starts to come out of that and show dimensionality. So he's doing all the heavy lifting and holding it for you, and it's ready when you are ready to open it that night. You don't have to cellar it anymore if you don't want to. It'll get better with age, absolutely, if you want to, but we already do a little bit of that. And you're going to see that with the red wines as we go along. They're going to have quite a bit of bottle age on it. And it's mostly because we're up in the mountains. The structure is more aggressive in the mountains. You have really high elevation, so you have higher acids. you have higher tannins, and you have to soften those in some way. And the only thing that does that is time. And you can do shortcuts and kind of get your fruit really overripe to kind of cover that. But we don't do that. It's time that really makes the difference, and it softens everything and makes it perfect. A lot of people come to our area and go, we'd love to do some barrel tasting with you guys. And you're like, no, you don't. It would take the enamel off your teeth with the red wines because those tannins are aggressive. So that's why we got a little bit of bottle age. So I'll let John move on to the next wine.
Yeah. Quick comment on the Viognier, and then we can move on. Is I really do sort of notice for a lower acid grape, it really does have this salivating, acidic quality that, can pair really well with different foods. But also with that bottle age, you're also getting a little bit more of that kind of honey, nutty kind of character to it as well, which I think just adds that extra layer of depth and flavor. I think this is really a lovely wine. So I just wanted to throw that out there before we dive into the reds. So,
you hit on the right spot. It has got that honey kind of beeswax kind of a note in it, which really good Viognier shows. Viognier back in the 80s was going to be the next Chardonnay. A lot of people planted it, and then they saw how hard it was to grow and grow well. So people ripped it up and planted Chardonnay and other things. But the people that kept it, like Bill Easton, they're kind of the experts with this grape and make some of the best versions of it in California. I would argue that is the best inexpensive Viognier you can find in California. I would argue with most of our wines, they're the best quality for the price. But that Viognier, you're not going to find a Viognier that's usually even under $30 or $40 that's going to have that kind of quality.